Oh my goodness, you guys. Hello out there at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a time I don't usually see on Alive, but I am here with my favorite raw chef, Chef Yen, and who's actually, I think you guys have heard me say this, is going to be coming to visit us later this year, and we're super excited. We've been making plans. But Chef Yen was so nice and contributed a recipe to my new, brilliantly titled Whole Food Plant-Based Ninja Creami Ebook 2. And so my catchphrase for the week is all my creativity went into the recipes, not into the title. I kept saying I was going to change it. And we can talk about that too. We're getting some questions. Hello, everyone. I'm going to come and say hi in a minute. I know this is bad lighting for this, but that's Raw Chef Yen's coconut passion fruit ice cream. And in here, Chef Yen gave me a recipe, and I kind of tweaked it a little bit to make it more whole food plant-based friendly. And we were actually having a conversation about different sweeteners. But actually, even before I introduce you, one of the questions, and maybe you can roll this up, are Ninja Creami creations considered raw? And that would depend on what you're putting in it. If you're putting silken tofu in it, I think not. If you're using okara like I do, which is from cooked soybeans, that would probably not be. However, in this one, I did put cooked food in it. I'm so sorry. You can also use like riced cauliflower. I should have put I'm going to do some edits, so I'll make sure to add a riced cauliflower option in here. I'm so bad. I'm so sorry, Chef Yen. But it depends on what you're doing, because we're also using maple syrup as a sweetener, and I'm not sure if that would be considered raw either. So in case you don't know Raw Chef Yen, she comes and hangs out with me every year at the bundle. I'm going to let her introduce herself and then maybe talk about what ingredients would be raw and not raw. So welcome.
Okay, hi everyone. Hi, Kathy. Nice to see you. Great to be here again.
Oh, it's always good to see you. So what, the maple syrup in here, would that be considered a raw ingredient?
Okay, so maple syrup is technically not raw. However, I think it's acceptable in a lot of the raw communities to use it. And I think one of the reasons why we wanted to use maple syrup is more for the color. I think because as recipe developers, we also want to think about how the ice cream is presented. Because if you want to use like date syrup or dates to sweeten it, then the ice cream will look really dark and brown, and it doesn't look like passion fruit anymore. So
Yeah.
that's one of the considerations I take into account. So, okay, it's interesting because I discovered raw food in 2014. I took my first raw vegan culinary course in 2015, and then at Matthew Kenny, and then I took another two more courses in 2016, and then I have also been studying with different raw food teachers, with at master classes, at workshops all over the world. So I studied with uh I know her face. Oh, Amy Levine. She's one of the very well known raw food teachers. She's actually from the US, but she's based in UK in London. So I took a master class with her when I went to London. I took classes with Lauren Lovett. She founded Plant Academy in London. I also took some classes in Bali with some raw food teachers as well. So it really depends.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I noticed when you study from the chefs and the culinary instructors and all that, they have no problem using maple syrup. But then when you go into the raw food community, who are the raw food creators and the influencers and the teachers or those who run raw food retreats, that's when they go like, oh, maple syrup's not raw, that's not raw, that's not.
And I'm
Oh,
laughing. Okay, so the reason I'm laughing is that we get that in the whole food plant-based no oil community too. Like someone will be like, maple syrup is so processed, and it's like, it's for everyone who's watching, if you were one of those people and maple syrup isn't for you, that's great. You could use date syrup or date paste. You have all these options, and I try to provide you options, but people what I don't like and what I'll never do to you and what I don't want you to do to anybody else is tell them what they should eat, right? That's where I draw my hard like mama bear in the community line. It's like everyone gets to pick because like I know there's a certain temperature you can go to for raw food as well. And
Mhm.
for instance, on the Meomat, actually, I pointed at it back there, my soy milk maker, they have a raw setting, but if you use it on your almond milk, it heats the almond milk, but only to that temperature.
Oh,
It doesn't go beyond
okay.
that, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's one thing to kind of know about. And one of the things that I've done in the book too that would work in this recipe is to use the pureed pear as a sweetener. I've been using that for
Mm.
things that I don't want to get dark colored.
Yeah.
And for everybody in the US, Walmart has pears in pear juice, but I suspect this would not be considered raw because the temperature would have to be so high to can it. You could use fresh
Yeah.
fruit as well, but
Yeah.
and also just because it's Raw Chef Yen's recipe, she's not going to come to your house and go, "Why aren't you making that raw?" Because she's a nice person. Right?
Yeah, my partner eats cooked food as well, so I make him cook food, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, like, yeah, we just don't like want to use oil anymore. So I'm actually really excited that you took out the oil from my original recipe because at that time I was still using oil in my ice cream recipe. So I'm more like, oh, you mean that all these other thickeners you have, like, I think I counted, you have like 16 whole food plant-based thickeners in your ebook, which I thought was fantastic. And some of them are raw, so we could use that instead. Yeah, we
Absolutely.
could use.
Like I use Okara a lot because I love soy milk. Like soy milk's my favorite and so I make a lot of Okara. But like if you make raw almond milk, the nut pulp will be good. If you strain it more,
Yeah,
so realize if you're using one of the thickeners like zucchini or nut milk pulp. I don't know about your nut milk pulp, but mine is much more watery, probably because I'm lazy and I don't push it down enough. But I would let it really sit and push that down a little bit more. Or you could add a couple of tablespoons of cashews. Or if you're not looking
yeah.
to go raw, you could do a couple of tablespoons of white beans. So you can
Hmm.
mix and match these two. But it's kind of amazing because I see in all the Ninja Creamy groups, like people are working with all the different gums and all the different thickeners and
Yeah,
glycerins and pudding mixes. And I'm like, I, I've been last year when I didn't do a book, but I said I was going to. Our leftover oatmeal, I started putting half a cup of it in our Ninja Creamies, and it just was beautiful. And it was leftover food. And so that's one of the reasons why I really love like the milk pulps too. It's something that maybe you don't always do something with.
yeah. I thought that was brilliant. You put like leftover steel cut oats. I was like, oh, why didn't I think about that? Because I remember when I was trying to develop my ice cream recipes, and I was like, how do I make it creamy and thick? So I was using, like, yeah, I was using chia seeds, I was using hemp, I was using coconut. But yeah, I mean, because I was doing raw, right? So I wasn't thinking about, like, things like sweet potatoes or steel cut oats. But I love that you provide all these options. So when I've been trying out your recipes, I'm like, I got this whole bunch of sweet potatoes. Oh, I wanted to bring out all the sweet potatoes to show you that I got, and then I forgot to put it here. But
Do they are the
I
kind
just
you
do
get
that.
in Malaysia? Are they like the Korean sweet potatoes or the Japanese where
I,
they're?
I I can bring them out for you now. Do you want me to do?
Oh
I'll
yeah, I'd
bring them
love
out.
to
Then
see them.
yeah, I'll do a show and tell. Maybe you can just switch to full screen to yourself
Yeah,
while I go
there's
out
a
and
couple
get
of
it.
questions, so I can answer. One of them is for me. Where can I find passion fruit
Okay.
puree in the U.S.? So there's two things. I actually got cut up passion fruit, which I think is over here. I don't know if I have both of them up here right now, but I might. And I have, yeah, yeah, I got the passion fruit puree, and somewhere up here, I should be more prepared, but I'm not. That's rhubarb. Now I just
We're
dropped my
both not
puree on
very
the
prepared.
floor. I'm just chatting with everyone while I'm just going through my freezer. There we go. Ah. So there's two places. So I got this frozen pulp from the Hispanic market.
Oh,
Although the
nice.
lighting isn't, there we go. And so that doesn't have any seeds or anything in it already. But at Sprouts, they had just cubed passion fruit. And it doesn't have any seeds in it either. It's just yellow. So I don't know if it was the puree, because there's seeds in it to start out with.
Yes, that's interesting because when I saw your picture, I was like, oh, did you strain out the seeds? Because I know that you said like you don't like blueberry seeds and all that. So I thought you took the extra step to strain it out. But I guess yeah, now I realize that oh, it comes without the seeds, whereas the one that I made had the seeds and I didn't bother to strain it.
And that's fine too, because actually passion fruit grows. Actually, it can grow where I live, and they call them
Uh,
maypops, but I don't have any. They can be a little invasive, but they have those beautiful flowers. But the place that I found, and oh my gosh, there were so many different tropical fruits at the Hispanic. I wasn't even at the nice one. I was at the tiny one, and there was a
uh-huh.
whole double thing of nothing but all the different fruits. And this one just has passion fruit. Some did have sugar, so make sure you read it, but
Right.
this is just passion fruit puree.
Nice, very nice.
So you got your sweet
Okay.
potatoes?
Yes, I have my sweet potatoes. So I have like I'll show the different kinds. I have all these. So maybe I'll show you the one that this is my favorite one. It's funny though, this is not from Malaysia. Actually, we do grow them here and they do sell the ones in Malaysia, but I usually don't get those because I find they're not as sweet. So this is the one from actually in Indonesia.
Oh, and they're white on
And
the
this is
inside, yeah? Or are they
yeah,
puffy?
this is white on the inside. And this is called honey sweet potato. Super chilambu. Yeah. So these are my right now. These are my favorite. One of my favorite ones. I also love the Japanese ones as well. Yeah. And then we also have these, but these are the baby ones. So this is how the am I on the
Oh,
am
those
I
are
on the
so
screen?
cute.
Yeah. So these are like the baby ones. So these are the Japanese sweet potatoes. So they're white in the inside as well. But it's funny though because they call them Japanese baby sweet potato, but it's grown in Vietnam. And then I bought the ones that are Japanese sweet potatoes from Japan, but it's like 3 times the price. But it's so sweet. Yeah. And those are lovely as well. So ours always wants those. Um, I think no, I think this is the local one. But this is much smaller. And it's also white. Wait, is this one purple on the inside? Oh, I think this one's purple on the inside.
I like those too. I
And
like all potatoes.
then I saw this one as well. I haven't got so this is the first time I'm trying this one. This is also purple sweet potato and it's from Indonesia. This is really interesting because it's got like bitter undertones. So you see,
Oh,
we have this and this. So this is the Japanese one. I think this is the Malaysian one, and then this is the Indonesian one. And this was the one that I used to make your chocolate ice cream recipe, which us loves. So we tried it. He had it last night. I can't have cacao at night, so I didn't use it. But I thought because this was like when you cut it, it's very dark purple. It's different compared to this color, and
yeah.
the flavors are different as well. So this one is like I said, it's got some interesting bitter undertones to it. So I thought it would make a really nice chocolate. And then I think when I did the live, someone commented like, "Oh, it looks like a purple ice cream, like a berry ice cream, and not like a chocolate ice cream." And then I realized because yeah, I think the some of the the camera picked up some of the purple from here. But when we looked in person, it didn't look that purple. It was more brown. But
That's
yeah,
interesting because
so
like
yeah,
I have some ube, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, so please forgive me if
it is
I pronounce
okay. Yeah.
it. And I know they use it a lot in Filipino cuisine for sure. But we have a purple sweet potato that looks like the one that was in your hand. It's called Stokes sweet potato, and that's a county, like a little area in North Carolina that has a purple sweet
Oh,
potato as well. So it would be really interesting. And maybe when you come, maybe we'll do a potato testing and see, because like I'll have some frozen ones in the freezer that we can take out to try, but they won't be here when you're here. But there was like this heirloom variety that I never knew of from North Carolina. They're white sweet potatoes, white on the outside, white on the inside, and it almost looked like it had rope on the top, like it had these really
oh,
raised pieces that went from top to bottom. And the farmer told me, don't cut them up and cook them in a pan or they won't be sweet, because all the sweet was in those big veins, and when you bake them it goes to
um,
the potato. And they were delicious. And there have been some Hannah yams lately at Whole Foods. They're pretty expensive, but I think I like Korean and Japanese that are slightly yellow sometimes where we are on the inside. Like they're mostly
mhm.
white, but they get a little yellow. But they make the whole
Yeah,
house
yeah.
smell like vanilla cake when you bake them.
Yeah, I love the Japanese ones, and we had them when we were in Japan, and they were so good. Yeah, and they sell the like the baked sweet potatoes in Japan at the convenience store, so we can just like easily get it.
Oh
Yeah,
my
so that
goodness.
was.
Oh, someone's saying something really sweet. Jocelyn said, my husband told me my ice cream from Kathy's book is better than the store and he's not vegan. That's so
Oh,
sweet.
congratulations!
And then Stephanie has a question. If you can't use maple syrup under whole food plant based standards, what would work to achieve a maple flavor as whole food plant based? I have one suggestion. What do you think, Chef Yan?
Do you sometimes I put in a bit of maca powder. I would use, so I use a whole food plant-based compliant uh sweetener, and then but I don't know whether you can because I use maca powder, mesquite powder. No, I haven't tried mesquite. I think someone told me about it, but I think
Ooh,
mesquite tastes more like butterscotch, right?
I think so.
But
I've
yeah.
been wanting to try it because I like smoky things. And you can get a maple extract too. Now, less if you're it depends on how strict you are. There are lots of extracts that have propylene glycol and all these crazy things, but
Mm,
like Frontier Herb, there's like Simply Organic. Let's see. Frontier usually has pretty clean stuff and it usually has alcohol free options. Simply Organic
mm,
has organic ones, and wherever I put it, there are a few that are good, so you might do that as
yeah.
well. But I like your idea of putting in some maca powder or something like that. I think honestly, if you put like one date in here, it might not affect the color that much and give you just a little bit of that kind of
Mm,
flavor. Maybe half of a big medjool date or one deglet. What do you think about that?
yeah. Or I mean, you can use date powder, like the date powder I get, which is basically just dried dates and ground up. Those are much lighter in color. So I started using that, but I need to get more. Yeah, I only have a little bit left, so I go through that. Yeah, I was at one point I was going through that so fast because I was making my mooncake recipes. So yeah, I don't have much left. And then yeah, but I used maple because I was like, oh, it's in the recipe, I should stick to that as well. So
Well,
yeah,
the maple doesn't overpower. So in this recipe, it's not like you're tasting a
yeah,
big maple flavor and the other things. It's just
yeah,
the passion fruit's just a little bit sour-ish.
yeah,
And so it just kind of
yeah.
takes some of that pressure off of it and makes it a little bit like Cheryl's not on team most fruits, and if it's like a little sour or something like that, I let her taste it and she's like, yeah, no passion fruit. She thought the texture was beautiful and all of that, but she was if I make it again for her, I'll make one with no passion fruit or put something, I don't know, more like blueberries or something that's not sour at all.
Yeah, us is not a huge fan of sour fruit. I mean, I love things that are sour, and he's like, oh, his face will pucker up and everything. So I was waiting. I was a bit like, I was waiting for him to go like, this is too sour. I'm not gonna eat it. But because he's a bit like Cheryl, actually, he just wants chocolate ice cream. That's all.
That's all Cheryl wants. Like, she got to finally eat Vicky's chocolate because I'm saving it, for when we had our live last night, and I made her milkshake and she was
Yeah,
in heaven. And Stephanie says
yeah.
Walmart has a passion fruit in the freezer section too, and Walmart is everywhere here.
Nice, nice. So yeah. So, but when Ash tried it, he actually liked it. He said it was very refreshing, and I think it was also on a day that evening when we had the passion fruit ice cream. It was so hot, so it was like it was. I think it was such a relief to get to eat some of the ice cream.
It
So
was
he ate it all
delicious.
up.
It was
Yeah.
delicious. Like, beyond a shadow of
Oh.
a doubt. Like, I've been making a lot of ice cream. I've been tasting a lot. Like, I
Yeah.
made over 60 recipes. There are a few that didn't get to the book. Like, I
Whoa.
had to, the week before the book was supposed to come out, I made 10 new recipes because I was on a tear. But yours is one of my favorites. Like, I really love, because I
Oh.
haven't had a lot of passion fruit desserts, and that with the
Mm-mm.
coconut flavor. And so what we're using, so the original recipe, and I was just talking to Chef Yen, and unless she gets to change her mind, since this is her morning, so if she doesn't change her mind, the original, the not whole food plant based entirely version is going to go on the blog. And what does that mean? It's going to use some coconut, young coconut in it, and some cashews. So I mean, we're still not doing the original version that had coconut oil in it or anything like that, but it will
Mm.
be a higher fat version, and you guys can kind of take a look at that as well. And I will
Yeah,
link
yeah.
to
Please put it up on the blog. I'll love to share it because
my
I made that recipe so long ago. So it should
okay.
it should go out to the world. Yeah,
Well,
I remember this thing. I remember watching this live by what's her name? She's this very Kat, Kathy Kirsten Tibble, I think. She does pastries and all that. And she was saying that what she does is she develops one recipe, and after a year, she she puts it out there on the internet on social media. She gives it to the world because she feels like then that will push you to create more recipes. Yeah. So I really like that philosophy. So and I made this recipe in like 2019. So yeah, it's definitely time for the world to know.
and I'm putting out some of the recipes from the first book and a couple from this book, just so everybody can get a little taste of everything. And Raven says those potatoes look like fingerling potatoes. Are there any fingerling potato? Are fingerling potatoes the same thing as Japanese sweet potatoes? And I would say no. Fingerling potatoes are just baby potatoes. And so when we buy a bag of fingerling potatoes here, there's usually Yukon, well, it's not Yukon Gold because they grow, there's some kind of yellow fingerling potato that grows a little more finger like instead of round like the yellow fins. A red
Ah,
potato and a purple potato that grows that way. But fingerlings really just mean baby. Baby and or elongated.
okay.
So, um, ooh, and Penny says she finally went to Trader Joe's and got Japanese sweet potatoes, and she can't wait to use them. And so I think that's going to be awesome. And
Nice.
oh, and Stephanie says she's in Colorado Springs and can buy the Stokes sweet potatoes. I just think it's cool that they're from Stokes County where I live.
Yeah, yeah, I keep hearing people talk about stokes and henna yams, and I can't get them over here. So when I'm there, I want to try them. Because I know Chef H is always talking about henna yams.
And if we can get any, we will. They're not always available here, and that's gonna.
Okay.
But we and see, and like to take you to H Mart where you can get Korean sweet potatoes, you're just gonna be like, those aren't as good as the ones that I get next door, right?
I do want to go to H-Mart. Actually, I get very excited when I visit the Asian markets in other countries because I'm like, oh my God, they have this. Oh my God, they have that. It's just like home. Yeah, so we always go to, yeah, like I went to the Chinatown in New York City and I went to the Chinatown in London, and then we just got, yeah, so and I think also went to the Chinatown in Manchester. So yeah, we were like getting all the I was looking at all the ingredients and getting my coconut, getting my banana leaf, getting my lemongrass and all that from there. So
Well, and I'm hoping by the time you get here in August, so like I'm already seeing tomatoes on my tomato plants. I've got a lemongrass
oh,
growing, cucumbers. So
oh,
fingers crossed that some of that'll be in. But we're going to go and she's going to take me to my normal Asian markets, but then she's going to help me discover some new stuff that I get to share. Because there's this whole section of fermented tofu, and most of the ones in the
yeah,
glass jars have a lot of oil, but then there's
yeah,
stuff in these clay jars, and I don't know what it is at all, right? Because I can't see it. And so you can
yeah. It
tell me.
They usually put it in oil because I think they want to preserve it. So it's traditionally made with oil, but those taste so good.
We'll
Have
have
you
to.
tried them? They
No.
taste like cheese. They taste like cheese. It's like, yeah. And I used to use those Chinese fermented tofus um in my cheese recipes as well. And my students love them, you know.
Oh, that sounds yummy.
Yeah.
And Con Marie is saying, I don't own a Creamy yet. I've watched all the replays this week and bought Kathy's book. It's winter here, but going to buy the Creamy in the spring. And I think you're in Australia. So even though it'll be my winter and I might not be talking about the Creamy, make sure that you reach out when you get yours. And I will certainly help you because all the videos will still be up on YouTube, but just so you know. And if there's a
Yeah,
few.
and I don't have a creamy yet. Making everything in my Thermomix, so she can do the same thing as well while waiting.
And that's true because I've talked to people about you can freeze the mixes in ice cube trays, let them thaw a little bit, use your blender, food processor, or your nanas, but we don't use the Thermomix as much here, but they use it a lot in Australia. And you said
Yes, they
you were
do.
going to make
Yeah.
something in the Thermomix, so I'm excited to see
Yeah.
that. And I'm going to get the pint out so it can start thawing, so I can spin it probably while you're
Okay.
talking and show your ice cream.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So uh
Yeah,
do I
you
get
can.
mine out now as well?
Yeah, you want to take
Yeah,
it
because
away?
yeah.
Okay, I can talk for
Okay.
a minute too. I'll see if there's any more questions.
Okay.
And then I'll. Ooh, do sour sop, someone said. I should. I got a couple of things. I don't know how to say these words and I haven't listened to them on the interwebs yet, but like, is it Mamey? Mamey? I've heard really amazing things about it, so I bought some of that puree. Um, Lori's saying, can you boil the sweet potatoes that you'll use for the ice cream thickener, or do you have to bake them? In general, most potatoes you could do either way. I like to bake them because I actually bought a case at a time and I just bake them and then you can freeze them and then they're just all ready for you. Okay, and Chef Yen is going to show us some goodness.
Okay, so I made this what's the full name? Pineapple jalapeno margarita ice cream recipe because this was the one that like popped out, and I remember even when Kathy was talking about it, she was like, "Oh, I have a very interesting one which has jalapeno in it." I was like, "Oh my God, I need to make that because I like jalapeno. I like spicy stuff, and I just like." Really interesting recipes, unlike Mr. Jazz Guitarist who just wants me to make all the chocolate ice cream recipes. It's so funny because when I showed Mr. Jazz Guitarist, my partner, the ebook and I said like, look, there's this let me see, I don't know, like this maple woman, this like blueberry creamy chino, like what do you want to make? And what do you want to eat? And he's like, can you make chocolate? Is there chocolate? And I was like, you're in luck. There's three chocolate recipes, so I'll make that. So I made that for him yesterday, and he was like, oh, I wanted to tell you this though. That what I did with the chocolate one is like, so I made the chocolate ice cream recipe, but I had a little bit left, so I saved that to use as a sauce on top of the chocolate recipe. And then I put cacao nibs on top as well. So it was almost like a triple chocolate recipe for him, and he loved it. He was like, oh, this is so great with the sauce. And I'm like, the sauce and the ice cream is the same thing.
I found this on the web for putting carrots on top as well, so it was almost like a triple chocolate recipe for him. Check it out.
I wasn't talking to you.
That's
I
awesome.
was not talking to you. Yeah. So okay, so I'm making the let me just pull it up so I know what it is. And I wanted to pineapple jalapeno margarita ice cream. I don't have a Ninja Creamy yet. There is a Ninja Creamy. They do sell the Ninja Creamy here in Malaysia, but I have a very small kitchen, so I don't have enough. I'm like, I don't think I can get another appliance. I can't fit it in the onto my kitchen counter. Then you'll have to go in one of the shelves and bring it out. So I said no. But if they want to send it to me, then I would love to have it. So I'm
They
just
haven't sent one to
putting it
me in
out
a few
there, Ninja.
years. They sent me the second one, but then the third one I had to get myself. The first and the third one I bought. So
Yeah,
if they ask, I'll give
yeah.
them your name for sure.
Thank you. So what I did was I told so I followed, I think, yeah, I followed everything. Well, I used fresh pineapple because I could get fresh pineapple. And then I used a I think this sweet potato. I don't have an proper oven anymore because it had to make way for my dehydrator and all that. So I actually just steamed this in my Thermomix. And then yeah, and then the other ingredients, I just put everything into the Thermomix. I blended it, and then I have these. Oh, I need to wear my wrist brace if I'm gonna
Yeah, don't hurt
use
yourself.
this.
You're just getting better. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
Ryan is
I didn't
asking,
get actually.
I'm sorry, do you mind if I answer real quick? Was
Oh yeah,
saying with
yeah, sure,
frozen
sure.
potatoes, do I thaw them before mixing to make the ice cream mix? I probably would thaw it a little bit because I'm going to blend it up, the puree up in with all the other ingredients in a blender. So it kind of depends. You could
Yeah,
heat it real quick in your air fryer or in a microwave too if you wanted to hurry up.
yeah. So I know Kathy says put it into ice cream cube containers. But because, and I think that's a good idea because that's smaller. But because my Thermomix is actually quite powerful, so I have these silicone molds,
Oh, it's like a
for
cocoa ball mold.
yeah. So I just use this because I use this for my other desserts as well. And when I made my own ice cream recipes, I always use this because it's just easier. Yeah. So it's just silicone mold. So I'm gonna do half of it because I want to save the other half for us. Yeah.
You're so
And the
thoughtful.
Thermomix acts as both a blender and a food processor. So this if you have a yeah, I think it's better if you have a food processor to mix up the frozen cubes because I don't think a blender would really work.
You, if you
Yeah.
thaw it out a
Would
little
it?
bit, it can. But I agree. When I would make nice cream, I made it more in my food processor. You have to make a lot of it to put it in the blend, like the Vitamix.
Yeah, and the vitamin standing you have to use the temper as well, and then yeah, so yeah, just pop the frozen ones out. I mean, usually I stand here and pop it out, but since I'm sitting, yeah, that's how it looks like when it's frozen. But yeah, I was just like, oh, this would be so it'll be good as a smoothie as well, actually. Yeah, your pineapple jalapeno. When I had it yesterday, I was like, oh, yeah,
Well, and
okay.
with the Ninja Creamy, even
So
though I only put a smoothie bowl kind of template in there, anything that you drink as a smoothie because you're already putting something thick in it. That works in the Ninja Creami too.
Yeah. It's funny because I need to say I'm going to process it. Because I've been watching all your Ninja Creamy recipes, I started using the word spin as well. Like, oh, I'm going to spin this. And then I was like, oh wait, I don't have a spin function.
This is yours. This is Chef Yen's spin cycle.
Oh, so funny. So, the Thermomix actually has also ice cream recipes. They usually ask you to do speed 6 on 20 seconds and then usually like speed 4 on another 10 seconds. But I think I'll just do speed 6 on 20 seconds for those who have a Thermomix. And then we'll see how it is because, yeah, we'll just check on the texture and see what it's like. So, yeah, I'm going to do this. I hope it's not going to be too loud, but we'll see.
That's not too bad. And if you guys have some questions for me or Chef Yen, please go ahead and put them in the comments while she's spinning all this. And you guys, a Thermomix, I had Cooking Pal that I demoed a couple of years ago was similar to the Thermomix. The Thermomix really is like the gold standard of that kind of appliance, but they've tried to catch on in the US and they don't catch on. And the Cooking Pal was the same way. I have some videos that I used it, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because our kitchens are a little bigger.
That's weird because the Thermomix is huge. So it looks a bit powdery now, but because this will melt, it's not the Ninja Creamy, so I feel like using it because by the time I scoop it all out and have that, ooh, it smells so good. You know what? I left the seeds inside because I like things spicy and yeah, because we eat so much spicy food anyway in Malaysia, so it doesn't really matter.
I've
Yeah,
been
I know
eating
you
more
said like
spicy food, but I don't know if I can like totally hang with full on Malaysian spicy. But I'm excited to try your food
yeah.
when you come. I'm gonna put this just to you and mute me, and I'll just show you guys. This is the whole food plant-based passion fruit coconut. And so with the coconut, it's not actually got real coconut in this version. I'm using coconut extract, and it's surprisingly good. And the one that I've been using is Savory Spice Shop version, but you can look at some other different ones too and find some that are real natural. Okay, I'm going to put the screen just on you, Chef Yen, and mute me.
Okay. Actually, guys, I'm just going to like spin this a bit more because I think it is still a bit powdery. So like they said, they did ask you to, but it shouldn't be too loud. And then I will also tell you like why I came up with this recipe or how I like yeah why I guess I don't know. Because right now it's still a bit powdery, but it smells so good. Yeah, but I'm actually intermittent fasting, so I'm only supposed to be eating in 1 hour and 15 minutes. So yeah, I think I over processed it. It was supposed to be for 10 seconds and it went for 18. Oh, but it's looking better now. It's looking. Yeah, now it looks more like a ice cream texture. You can see that. I'm gonna scoop it out so you guys can see. Yeah, yeah. Now it's like super scoopable. So yeah, this is actually very fun for me because initially, like when last year when Kathy launched her first I think Ninja Creamy Ebook and Ninja Creamy experience, I was like, oh, I don't have one, so I didn't try. Ooh, ooh. Okay, now I'm excited because it looks like it has the perfect texture. Now, I don't know why you guys can see it,
It
but
looks
like
really good. I'm just where it's super
yeah,
loud, so I can't hear you.
yeah.
But one of the questions is, how much does a Thermomix cost where you are?
Oh. it's very expensive. Um, yeah, it's crazy expensive, and I I broke like 6 blender blades. Then I went like, okay, I need to get a Thermomix because I think I got, yeah, I broke, yeah, I bought 2 other food processors before I finally like, you know what, I'm just gonna get this because if not, I'll just be breaking food processors and blades all this while. So uh I'm fudging. I'm not actually answering how much it costs because I don't know how to justify the cost. In Malaysia, it's it's about 7,000 ringgit. I'm trying to figure out how much is that in US dollars. So maybe I should ask Siri. Hey Siri, how much is 7,000 ringgit Malaysia in US dollars?
I found this on the web.
Yeah, you're not giving me a. Let me just Google this.
Okay.
But
That
I
was
think
loud.
it's the same price it is. YR to US dollars. Oh, why is it not? 1,491 US dollars. So it's a really expensive appliance. Well, I saw it as a business expense, and I can also it's funny though, there's so many homes in Malaysia that they have it.
It's very popular in Australia too, which I find very
Yeah,
interesting. Like the
yeah,
cooking pail at first was like $1,400 or $1,500 here. That looks so pretty. It's such a pretty color.
yeah.
Look, and this is, I didn't respin it. It probably could have used a respin, but it's still pretty yummy. And it's nice and
Yay.
creamy, even though it is all whole food plant based, right? And the taste is so good. I love passion fruit and coconut together, which I had not done before, right? Because I haven't had a lot of passion fruit. And it's really, really quite perfect together. And I will say, depending on how sour your passion fruit might be, because maybe you're not getting this brand that I got, maybe another one could be a little more sour, just make sure you're tasting your mixture and adjusting it. Just like Chef Yin used fresh pineapple, and we can get fresh pineapple here. I will say that last year I was making the Dole Whip with both fresh and canned pineapple,
Mhm.
but you can't eat as much of it if it's fresh pineapple. I made my lips go all prickly
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
because of the
yeah.
acid,
That's right.
right? And so I
Yes.
always tell people it's fine to do it, but you can't have extra servings of it if you're sensitive. And when I made the original version too with the coconut, I opened my first young coconut. And I was telling Chef Yan, I can't remember if I used these exact words to you or not, but I was like, this is how I felt like I'm the whitest girl that has ever whited in this earth. As I'm like, oh, okay, because like I see the hard coconuts, right? And then I see the young coconut thinking most of the stuff was taken off. So like I didn't know anything.
Yeah,
And so as I'm
yeah.
cutting the white stuff, I'm like, no, that's where the brown part is. Or there's another brown part. And I was like, wait, this seems wrong. And I don't have a cleaver, like one of those Chinese
Ah,
cleavers. So
yes.
I watched a couple of
Yeah.
videos and I saw someone use a big chef knife corner. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, but I did it. I did it and I opened it up and it really wasn't that bad. But I probably should have filmed it, except I was really scared that if I did it live, I would cut myself or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
nobody needs to see that. But I should have probably filmed it just in case, so you could see how silly and scared I was. Because I talked to you guys a lot about trying things that you feel uncomfortable with. And it really does just it makes you a better person and a better cook to learn another new thing, right?
Yes, yes. Okay. I will tell you my experience about opening coconut the first time as well. But let me just keep this first in the freezer because I want to.
Absolutely. And
Yeah, yeah, do that.
let's see. And someone was asking about guava, so they like guava. And Chef Yen is in Malaysia. Malaysia. Um, let's see what we got here. And Stephanie says, I've only seen one other YouTuber use a Thermomix, and that's Bobby Parrish. And yeah, it's just not used that much in the U.S. Yeah, it's really, really expensive appliance. So when they had a kind of a knockoff one, I was like, sure, let's try it. And you guys were not interested at all, at all. Ooh.
You know the yeah, I thought someone said guava, so I thought, oh, I'll bring out a guava.
Oh, cool. Those are bigger than, I always see baby guavas here.
Oh, this is what I got from my regular farmer, and then this is the passion fruit. There are different kinds of passion fruit actually. There's like the yellow ones, and these are the redder ones, and yeah, there are quite a number. So, but this is just the one that I got from my online delivery. And then I like the fact that you have a template to make ice cream because I was half thinking about it, but then I haven't yet because I like this is my jackfruit.
Ooh.
So I was like, oh, maybe I could make some jackfruit ice cream. Although I like eating them on its own, you know. But so we'll see.
I
If
think that's
if
great. And we were at the Indian vegan buffet, and I have to look because like it would be awesome if it's open when you're here, but I don't know if it's every other Thursday, so I'll have to go look at the calendar. But they put out fresh jackfruit for us to try on the dessert
oh,
part this last time. They're very sweet.
nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So my coconut experience. It's so funny. Yeah, I heard you tell Chef AJ that you felt like the whitest of the white. That was so funny because to be honest, I because I have never ever cut open a coconut until the lockdown happened because it was so easy to get there are actually like open air coconut stalls like along the road kind of thing. So where I live it's like like a 10-minute walk. I can just kind of walk out and go to the store and then just tell the guy that I want fresh coconut and and he'll cut it open and he'll scoop it out and he'll separate it into different containers for me and all that. So that was what I was doing. And when we also go and pick up our fruit from this private farmer on every week, and then there's also a coconut stall there, so it's really easy to get fresh coconut and coconut flesh and coconut water. But then when the lockdowns began, then everything closed. So I had to order coconut for my online delivery. And that was the first time I was just like, how do I do this? And I was watching all these YouTube videos and they do it in like, 2 minutes, right? And
Yeah,
I'm like,
clonk, and it's magically done. It's like one stroke. And the first time I saw a coconut being open, so Vimala's is an Indian restaurant near me, and I took her dosa class years ago, and she's
oh,
from Kerala.
Carolyn?
Yes,
Yeah.
Kerala. So the southern part, they do lots of coconut stuff. So she had this whole big old brown coconut and this
Yeah.
like giant machete. And she went
Yeah.
conk conk, and it just broke into perfect halves. And she drained out the stuff, and I was like, I was stunned, absolutely stunned, because as I saw her lift up that machete, I saw all the horror movies go through my head. And I'm like, I paid money to be here. I don't want to see and clonk, because she's been doing it since she was a child. Well, not a child, but she was not a
Yeah.
child then, so she had done it for decades, I guess is a better way to put that. And let's say Lydia's talking about making guava ice cream. What do you think about guava? She's never tasted it, but she has some guava puree.
Oh, yeah, go for it. I'm trying to think whether I don't think I've made a guava ice cream, but I think a I made a guava smoothie, and I know I have made like a raw vegan tart and included guava in it, but I might have just like, sliced the guava thinly and put them on toppings, but I can't remember whether I made use it as a filling or use it as a, yeah. But I know I've used it in my tarts as well. So, and
Yeah,
smoothie bowls, I've used it in smoothie bowls.
that would be
Yeah.
really good. Like it's easy for us to get papayas. So I've used papaya a lot. I should use guava more. It's just we can I see them all the time at Costco, the little ones, but since I haven't really messed with them and Stephanie was saying the one you have looks really similar to a big pear, which is
Ah, it does. Actually, it does. You're right. It does look like a pear.
and I've never seen that. I don't think I've seen a guava that big either, which
Yeah,
is
they have different sizes. Sometimes I get smaller ones, sometimes I get bigger ones. And they also have the ones with the sometimes the flesh is white, sometimes it's red inside as well. So I think I used it because it was pretty, because it was pink, pink guava. Sorry, not red, pink guava. Yeah, so it looked really pretty, so I used that as well. But because nowadays it's interesting. I used to love ice cream, and in fact, the reason why I went raw was somehow linked to ice cream, because I had just got my ice cream maker, and I was looking for healthy ice cream recipes, and instead I found this blog called this Rossum Vegan Life, and he had a raw vegan lasagna recipe. So instead of making an ice cream recipe, I ended up making a raw vegan lasagna, and then I was hooked. I was like, oh my god, I have so much energy coming out of me, like, oh my god, this tastes so good. And yeah. So I've always liked ice cream, but I realized like nowadays, um, I started going more on a very fruit based. So I have fruit for breakfast and fruit for dinner now. I don't have my ice cream cravings anymore. Yeah, so I haven't really been making ice cream until I got your book. And then when I opened your book, I'm like, wow, this is like full color. I'm like, this is pages, and it goes on like there are a lot of pages in there. And I was like, wow, she's selling this for cheap because it's 146 pages. It should be worth
it
more.
it got a lot bigger than it was supposed to be, but I couldn't stop myself. But it's really fun to play with, I think too, and like someone up there had asked, I can't remember who it was. D was saying, why did I do the why did I do the Ninja Creamy stuff or write the books? And I think for me, it's one of the things I'm very passionate about is when people are transitioning from what we call a standard American diet. In Malaysia, probably the standard Malaysian diet is still better than the standard American diet. But, when people are transitioning, it's very hard to let go of everything that's familiar. But I think sometimes if you
Yeah.
have some taste, there's a word in Japanese that means invokes a memory of. And so, like when we eat
Mm,
tofu prepared, like when our soy curls that are like chicken fried soy curls, obviously it's not chicken, but it invokes a memory that you had of that food, and it's very nostalgic and comforting. And I feel like ice cream is a really good place to start because I think people think when they go whole food plant based, they're like, okay, I'm going to have salads and fruit and
yeah.
rice. And I'm not going to put any sauces on there. I'm not going to put any seasonings on there. And even if you're whole food plant based SOS, there's plenty of spice blends you can put on things and beautiful dressings and things like that you can do. But I feel like I love fruit, but I also like having something that feels treaty, that still fits in with my eating plan. And so what I
Mm-hmm.
try to do with all my books is I try to have, like gluten-free options, soy-free options, sugar-free options, salt-free options. Nothing in here has any oil. There are I think two recipes. This is one of them that calls for maple syrup. There might be three, but there's a date option. If
Mm-hmm.
you're raw or having a raw summer, like a lot of people will do, then maybe on the summer you don't use the sweet potato or the okara. Maybe you use there's you could use zucchini, you could use cauliflower. I've got one that it's mint green pea, and you can use fresh
Mm,
corn and make corn cinnamon ice cream, which is like a Hispanic drink called a tole. So, there's all different ways you can still incorporate foods that are very healthy for you. You can sweeten it to your taste. So maybe I'm a 4-date pint, right? And maybe you're a
mm,
7-date pint, or maybe you're a two
yeah,
date pint. So you really can tailor it to where you are. So I think one of my things that I feel very passionate about is making sure people don't feel deprived or like they're missing out on something, because I think that's when you stop eating on your eating plan, is when you feel like
yeah.
you're missing something big, right? How do you feel about that, Chef Yan?
Yeah, I think ice cream is so accessible to everyone, and like, oh, I don't know whether you know that, I don't know whether I mentioned it to you. So this passion fruit ice cream recipe that I shared with you, for you to modify and put it into the book. I actually served this at my pop-up dinner in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and everyone liked it, and it was such a nice ending to the dinner. And I also had a biscuit base to go, not biscuit base. Well, it was supposed to be it's a nut base. I think it's almonds, and I can't remember, was it almonds and dates or something like that,
Yeah,
to
that
go
you
with
had a
it. And then
crust in it and you served it in the little
yeah,
crust. It was
yeah,
beautiful.
and then put some, like, yeah, some passion fruit syrup on top of it as well. So yeah, I served that as the dinner, and everyone loved it. And I know that, like, sometimes I put, when I was creating my ice cream recipes when I first started, and I put ice cream pictures on my on Facebook or Instagram, and people go like, that's raw vegan, and they're so surprised, and they're like, oh, you mean, you, because they all just think it's salads, right? If it's raw vegan, they're like, you can eat ice cream when it's raw vegan, and it can be ice cream that actually tastes like ice cream and has the texture of ice cream, because we use coconut oil and cashews. So it's really, it has the mouthfeel. In fact, I remember, because when I was doing my culinary course, then I had to make ice creams as well. And I remember having it, and I was like, wow, this doesn't taste any different from. In fact, I thought it tasted better than the store bought ice creams that you get in a tub, and it was, whatever it is, even though it was like high fat with some oil and all that, it was still healthier than the ones that you get in the store, because in the stores it's got preservatives, it's got colorings, it's got gums, additives, and all that. So yeah, and then now yours is whole food plant based, which is even better.
Well, and like, I don't know about Malaysia right now, but like, you can go to Whole Foods and pay $10 for a pint of ice cream. That's not even whole food plant based, that has oils and all the stuff in it that just happens to be vegan. And I know, like, this is the deluxe. You can get the deluxe at Costco right now in the US at least, and you can get the original at Sam's Club, and they have some, at least one or two extra pints depending. Um, and they are about $200. So it's not super cheap, but if you are going to buy, you know, I guess that's like 20 pints of ice cream. So if you would use 20 pints of ice cream between now and the end of the year, it's better. And because also then next year it's all free. It's just, your dollar can of pineapple or anything like that. So, Chef Yen, tell us a little bit about why you decided to go plant based, and maybe a little bit about your story if you want to.
Oh yeah, sure. So like I said, I cut down on meat when I was, let me think, in the early 90s. I was a law student then. I remember I was still in college, like, I don't know, maybe second year law student or something. So I had slightly more freedom of my food choices, because prior to that, when I was, yeah, living in my parents' house, I basically just had to eat whatever they fed me. And then I was reading more about, like, how meat is not very good for your body, and things like that. For health, so I cut down on that, but I was still eating a bit of fish, because everybody goes like, where do you get your protein? And I didn't know that I could get my protein from any of the plants, so I thought I had to eat fish. So I was still eating fish, and then Like I said, in 2014, I was kind of like flexitarian, pescatarian. Like, when you go for family events and all that, and I didn't know how to maneuver that, so I just kind of like, oh, okay, I'll eat a bit of, this chicken, which I don't really like the taste, and I'm like, oh, I'll eat a bit of beef, which I don't really like the taste, or I'll eat the vegetables, and I just push the meat aside, and then I'll get nagged by my parents, like, oh, you're not getting enough nutrition. So anyway, so I was flexitarian for a long time, and then in 2014, I wanted to make ice cream and ended up making raw vegan lasagna, and I was so blown away by the energy that I felt. It was like, what's this? Why am I feeling so good and so energized and not sluggish? And then I realized like, oh my God, it's raw food. And then I started hunting for recipes online. That time there wasn't so much because it was 10 years ago, right? And then some were good and some were like really bad. I can't believe how people can put bad recipes up online, and then, so anyway, it was bad.
It
And then
exists. Yeah.
and then I found Matthew Kenny, Culinary Academy, and I was so blown away by all the beautiful, gorgeous pictures of this raw vegan food. So yeah, so I decided to take his course, and then I was just trying to make better food for us because that's my partner, because when he ate the bad raw food, you could see his face. He was like, oh, he was yeah. It shows on his face, and it was interesting though. He didn't push it away, because sometimes when I make some food, he'll just push it away. Like like when I make him kimchi, he's like, oh no. When I make him tempeh, he's like, no, 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 I'm not having this.
Cheryl does that too. I think they're going to get along awesome when they're here.
So, yeah. And so I was just trying to make better tasting food for him. So 2015, I was like making raw vegan food almost every day. I wasn't really, and then I kind of transitioned. Like in 2016, again, I went. They opened the raw and plant-based culinary academy in Thailand. That was Asia's first um
Oh,
yeah, culinary academy. So I went there, and I did two more courses, and then when I came back, people were curious, like, what's this raw thing? Because I started just documenting my journey on Instagram. And I remember when I was there, I stayed at the Airbnb. The lady asked me like, "Oh, are you planning to be a chef? Are you planning to open a school?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just trying to make better food for us." So it was more of a personal thing. But then people were so curious, and then I got invited to start workshops. Then I was like, "Oh, okay, I think I'm ready." But now I look back like, nah, I didn't know much. After like 1.5 years, how much do you know? Now, like 10 years later, I know so much more, right? But it's different. So yeah, people started asking me to do workshops, and then I was very passionate about it. I was so passionate that I would go to like yoga. I would go to no, I would go to vegan cafes and like, I'm gonna do a workshop for you. I want to develop recipes for you. I want to do this, and then at that time I was still new, so people kept saying no, but I it was just something I truly believed in. So the no's never really got me down. I just still kept doing it. And it's only like, I think after 5 years, I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. But then that's when I think the universe was really testing me and saying like, do you really want to do this? So when I almost wanted to give up, then that's when all the opportunities came in. I got invited to do a TEDx talk. I got invited to, publish a book. Then I got invited to do all these bundles. That's how I met you. I met Lisa and all that. So it's just been amazing. I always leave this out. The other thing, the reason why I believed in raw was because I suffered from eczema, and this was like on my fingers and on my toes. And I tried everything. We went to so many skin specialists, and this was like I was suffering for 10 not 10 years, since I was 10 years old, so almost like 30 years. And then so all the western doctors just gave me steroid creams, urea creams. Never worked, or it worked a while, and then after that it would come back. And then I did ayurvedic treatments as well. Again, that didn't work. And then I did the Chinese stuff as well, and I had to drink a lot of thick, gooey, traditional Chinese
teas.
medicine, which was Oh my god, the smell was horrible. It is so bitter. Yeah, and that didn't work either. But when I went raw vegan, it cleared up. It just completely cleared up. And then, when I know if like I ate a bit of eggs and then it come back again, and I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm like, this raw vegan thing works. So,
Oh, that's
so yeah.
awesome. And Stephanie was saying, let me see if I can go back and find. If one wants to maybe start a raw lifestyle, what would be some of your suggestions on how to go raw or how to transition?
Yeah. So I I think you should educate yourself because being raw is very different and not yeah, is well, at least in Malaysia, it's such a new. It's still considered. It's still very new. I mean, I did a raw food meetup recently. I only met like raw. Two people were raw, and they were on Dr. Brooke Goldner's protocol, and and it's more for healing purposes. Yeah. Okay. So what I usually tell people is start slow because I find that people who go raw overnight, they usually kind of like fall off the bandwagon after a while. It's not sustainable. So I think they should take it step by step. What I usually suggest is maybe just try having one raw meal a day, or even if like just a portion of raw in your meals a day. So like make a raw, maybe have a raw salad or have a raw smoothie for breakfast, or have like have more fruit for fresh fruit for dessert. And then yeah, and then slowly incorporate that so that it can be a sustainable lifestyle. Number two, I think you should educate yourself. Like I said, when I started making stuff from recipes online, it was a hit or miss, which is why I actually went to culinary school to learn. I mean, you don't need to go to culinary school like me. I mean, um we just had the ultimate raw vegan bundle though that just ended. So if you had gotten the bundle, that would be really good because that will have like the ebooks and the courses and all that. I do have 28 courses online. Some are mostly raw, some are cooked. I also do have 6 ebooks as well, so if you guys want to check that out, you can check
And
that
those
out.
are linked
um
below in the show notes. So I have it.
yeah.
I have a link to your courses and ebooks.
Yeah, thank you. And also, so educate yourself. I mean, you don't have to learn from me. You can learn from any of your favorite raw vegan creators. And then I think if you can have some kind of support, if you can find some kind of community, whether it's a community online or community in person, because what we have just started, the raw food community is what we call raw raw no, wait world raw food worldwide meetups. So we choose a
Oh,
day where everyone worldwide is doing a raw food worldwide meetup. So you have hosts in different countries. So I'm the host for Malaysia. We just did one in March, early March, and then in June this year, we're also going to do one on the 29th of June. So maybe you can just message me because Jamie Love is the organizer, founder of this raw food worldwide meetup movement. But anyone can be a host, or you can find out if there is someone hosting the meetup in your country or in your city. So you can go there and meet other people, like-minded people as well. Because yeah, having a community is very important. Although I mean, I was doing it on my own for a long time, and uh, before I actually met online community, yeah, at one point I felt very I did feel a bit isolated, but because it cleared up my skin, so I just like, I'm not gonna stop this. But I think after because I've been following Lisa and I've been following like Chris Kendall of the Raw Advantage for a very long time, but when I started participating, they invited me to be in the bundle and I started participating. Then I was more in touch with them and we're doing lives together. Then I felt very very connected with the community. And now I'm also in, the Raw Food Worldwide Meetup committee, and I'm hosting the meetup. Oh, if anyone is in Malaysia, I don't know how many people are doing this in Malaysia because it's 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Most people are like they're still sleeping. But I am doing a Raw Food Worldwide meetup on the 29th of June at 10 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. We're doing a picnic potluck, and this is going to be at Desa Park City. So it's open to everyone. You don't need to be raw vegan to join. You just need to bring some fruit, something raw vegan. If you're curious, you want to know more, come for me. So yeah, So I guess start slow, educate yourself, and find a community. So I think that will help you get on track. The the other thing I also want to say is, well, one of the things that I made a mistake was eating too little. So initially I lost a lot of weight, and people are like, oh, this diet is not good for you. Oh, you're too skinny. Oh, it's you're
Mm.
becoming sickly and all that. And that was because I didn't realize that on a raw food diet, because you need, yeah, because if you're gonna eat lettuce, right, and the fruits and I mean vegetables, the calories are really low, so you need to eat a lot. I used to think that, I used to watch Lisa and Nate and Fully Raw Christina eat their salads, and I'm like, these people are absolutely crazy. They're nuts. How can they eat like, a salad that's supposed to be for 10 people, right? But here I am, like, it's this huge. Let me get my salad bowl.
Edible. That's awesome. Oh,
This
that's
is my
perfect.
salad bowl. This is like what? Bigger than my head, right? Which doctor was it who said you should eat a salad as big as your head? I think one of the doctors said that, right?
It's a good idea. I mean, even if you're not doing
Yeah,
raw, I like
but
what you were kind of saying
yeah.
about adding a raw smoothie, eating more raw
Yes.
vegetables and fruit and things like
Yeah.
that. So I think that's doable for everyone. Just kind of like when I'm talking to all eaters, I'm like everybody wants to eat more vegetables. So whole food plant-based isn't that weird cuz even meat eaters are like, yeah, I should eat more vegetables. And I think same thing, whole food plant-based people might be like, I don't know about all raw, but I will eat that salad that you just made. And Apple is saying that's the
Yeah.
size of her salad bowl too, every day, sometimes twice a day.
Wow. I do one salad once a day. Only because because it takes a lot of chopping, and I'd be like, by and so I have my salad for lunch because I still have energy to make my salad. But by dinner time, I'm just cutting up some fruit and eating it. I'm not gonna make a salad and make a salad dressing and wash up my, wash my blender. No, 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 just fruit. But yeah, Lisa and Nate, they eat like, and I was just thinking about it this morning. I said, like, I think all your recipes in your ebook, let me just look at it again. I think they can all be raw because your nut milks can all be made raw. Then
Mhm.
your fillers can all be made raw, and then your sweeteners can be all dates, whole dates.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and then
think
a lot of it is fruit, and your
most of
nuts
them
are
can be. I think so. I think like the pumpkin couldn't because you wouldn't want to eat raw pumpkin.
yeah.
But most of
Um, you could butternut squash. Actually, so okay, it's
can you?
interesting about pumpkin because people do in the raw community they do make raw pumpkin soup and raw pumpkin tarts and all that. But I have found when I make raw pumpkin like on like a big amount, my body doesn't react very well to it. I don't know whether I just don't have the microbiome to do it. Oh, you know what? Lisa has a Thanksgiving no, yeah, I think she has a Thanksgiving pumpkin pie recipe. And I made that and that was raw. So we did use like raw pumpkin and puree it and all that.
Did it
So
go
and
in the
that worked actually
dehydrator
that worked
though?
really well.
Did it go in the
Yeah, it
dehydrator? So
went
I
into the
cooked some
dehydrator.
there, even though it's cooked at a low
Yeah,
temperature.
technically raw.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I would think,
115 Fahrenheit. So
hmm,
maybe, but I have made like those bliss balls using raw pumpkin as well. You
okay.
so and that worked. So yeah, I have seen like raw pumpkin recipes, but I don't use it so much. I think like I said, my body doesn't respond so well to that, but people have done it, so I've seen them doing that. So I think like most of your recipes, if you choose like a raw thickener,
Mhm.
you would be able to make it raw. I mean, this pineapple jalapeno one definitely can be made raw if you use fresh pineapple. Yeah, right.
I
Yeah,
think most things could be
cherry.
like, I don't know if well, cacao would be, you can get raw cacao powder to
Yeah,
use instead of cocoa
yeah,
powder.
yeah, exactly. I use raw cacao for the chocolate recipe.
Okay. And Apple is saying that she preps salads twice a week for her everyday salads, and she finds that easier than
Ah,
chopping every day.
yeah, yeah. Um, Penny Kramer of Nutmeg Notebook. She does like she preps like what 14 salads in 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's because they she has like like pre-washed baby spinach, and I think also pre-washed um a lot of them she buys from Costco, so it's already all chopped and made up already. In Malaysia, the like things like pre-grated carrots and all that, it's still very expensive here. So I don't buy that because it's like 3 or 4 times more expensive than you know yeah, buying a salad in a bag, like a spring mix, right? It's like 3 times more expensive than just buying the lettuce individually and just putting it together.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
However, in Japan, the pre-made salads, and that was I don't know whether it was cheaper, but it was very fresh and very convenient. So I could get like a radish salad in a bag just from the convenience store. So because we were traveling and I didn't want to spend all my time making food in the kitchen, so I like every day I would get some of those salads there in Japan. So that was easy.
Oh, that sounds yummy. And sometimes what I do, like Trader Joe's has a bunch of different chopped up things like broccoli slaw and shredded carrots. And I can make it at home. Like with broccoli slaw, it's harder because I don't usually buy the big broccoli stalks. I tend to just buy it frozen right now. And then because
Mm,
you're paying a lot for the stems. Like when I was getting a CSA, I would save them and put them in the freezer, and then
it,
I would just make the cruciferous crunch and stuff. But it's kind of nice when it is inexpensive. So it's not inexpensive everywhere, but Trader Joe's is pretty good because then if I don't want to cook, I can either take that out and chop up a bunch of broccoli slaw, which is just cabbage, broccoli stems, and carrots that have been grated, and chop that up and put it on a big salad. And it adds in a lot of nice bulk and nutrition with less effort. But like, if it's if I was getting ready to make a salad right now, I probably wouldn't make a salad. Kind of like because I've been known to be. I'm like, oh, there's a banana. That sounds like a great dinner, and Cheryl will not hear of it, and she's like, no, and I'm like, well, if I just went to bed, I might not need to eat anything, and that's only when I'm really, really, really tired. But
I saw your you spicing up the beans on Chef AJ's show, and I was like, oh my gosh, you mean the beans look so good? I was almost going like, can we just have beans when we come over to your place?
oh, you're
Or
gonna
like with the sauce, because you say you put some cheese sauce, and then it'll be like what, chili beans, or no, no, nacho beans or something. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
we can totally make that. Um,
so,
because I think sometimes people think, oh, I have to do everything. And so, like, I just take a can of beans. You can make those into refried beans. You can put them into tacos. You can, and actually, I had some
yeah,
oyster mushrooms that I could have made a really nice mole. But honestly, what I did is I put some ancho chili powder, some cumin and coriander, and some lime juice, and a little jalapeno powder, tossed it all together and roasted it in the air fryer, and we put that on top. We made bowls with
yeah,
that and the beans, and it was nice. It was easy, and
yeah, yeah.
sometimes that matters too. Holly is saying hello to both of us regarding
Hello.
purple potato, purple skin, and purple flesh. Sometimes when I cut open, there is some white ooze that comes out when I cut into it. Is that normal or bad to eat? Do you know?
I think it's normal because it's a bit of the sap. So Sometimes I wash it off, sometimes I don't. Yeah, I think it's just the sap. Yeah, but I think in terms of taste, it's better to wash it off. But then sometimes when I wash it off and then it keeps coming out, so I don't bother.
Yeah, I think some things like that, it's fine unless it seems like it's gooey or like not the same way
If
it
it smells, I mean, obviously if it smells bad, then don't, don't. But I don't think it's never smelled bad. It is normal for you to cut it and then you see a bit of white sap coming
yeah.
out, but
And
it's not a
Apple's
lot.
saying it's normal, it's just the starch. And you
Yeah,
don't really see the starch on the white potato as much because it's the same color probably. So there's a
yeah.
personal question for you, Chef Yen, and you can choose to answer it or not. It's one I know you get asked all the time. Plants Only Muncher wonders if you would mind telling us how old you are.
Oh, do you want to guess?
Yeah, if anybody wants to guess.
I will tell them how old I am, but maybe after three people guess and see.
Okay.
Let's see
Well,
how many people get it right.
Cheryl says 25. When I look at some of the pictures of you, you look like you're 24 years old, for sure.
Sometimes I
Um,
feel 24. No, I'm actually very happy at my age right now. I don't want to be
oh,
25
we've got
because I
30,
didn't know.
35, and 31 are the answers so far.
Uh, I think multiply 25 by 2 and add 1.
So you're 51.
So yeah, I was born in 1973, so I turned 51 in January this year. Yeah, raw vegan, raw vegan.
That's awesome. I just turned 59. So, 50s are
Wow.
awesome. I'm definitely on team
I
50.
yeah, like I said, I actually like it. No, you know what? It's funny because I keep looking back at all when I think back at all the things, the silly things I did in my 20s and my 30s, and I'm going like, oh my God, what was I doing?
And that is every person who's past 2025. Because I always say if I ran into like my 21-year-old self, I'd be like, yeah, no, I don't have time to talk to you. You've got a lot of growing up to do.
Yeah,
Cheryl says she would roll her eyes at herself if she could see herself now. So that's why growing up is good. There's a lot
yeah.
to be said for getting out of that. Now, two comments that I'm gonna let's see. Oh, Ryan, I know you didn't mean that. Ryan said you're 91. She's the youngest 91-year-old ever on the planet. Um, everybody else is saying you look 33, and it's unbelievable, and it's very, and you look
I love
amazing.
how everyone's guessing. It's so cool. Nice,
I
nice.
always say it's my
Yeah.
snazzy grown-up wear. Like that takes off 10 years right there, I think, just because I dress like
Oh,
I'm 20.
but us is a huge fan of your t-shirts. Like every time, because I've been watching you on my iPad when I make food all the time, right? This whole time because I've been watching all your ninja. So every time he walks into the kitchen, he's like, "Oh, Kathy's t-shirt! Oh my God, they're so cute! Oh, she has the." And then I think there was one that was it take a bite or something. Then he was like, "Oh, that's
Yeah, it's
he's
the
like this."
Snow White Witch, and it says take a
Yeah,
bite.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got the reference straight away. And then he was like, and then I showed him your you have you made a T-shirt, right, with the ice cream and the kindness
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah, and I showed him that. He's like, I want this one. Yeah, so he loves your T-shirts because he likes wearing like, he has T-shirts like we has a cat that says "Feed me, human" and all that. So he likes cats. Well, he likes cats, so he has like cat T-shirts, and he's a fan of like using T-shirts to express himself. He'd be like,
Yep, me
"What
too.
mood am I in today?" So
I
yeah,
totally
he
do that. I do. I'll be like, do I feel like take a bite or do I need like my little rainbow bat today? I, and I do wear it for my mood, which is hilarious. We'll have to t-shirt shop some, so we'll do that too. And then let's see. Seeing if there's any more questions. That I know there's a couple of things. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Just saying, love the t-shirts. We're going t-shirt shopping. So, and also if there's some that are in the U.S. that you want to get delivered to my house, talk to me, because that would be really easy to do. There's a couple of t-shirt companies I love. Because I know we're also going to go used book shopping. We have an agenda. And we already checked too, Chef Yen. Plant in Asheville does have a raw vegan dinner. Like they have a main dish you can get. So we'll check a few other places too. Oh, and Ryan said, no, of course I didn't mean 91. I would have guessed 30. He was just being funny.
That's really funny.
So there are a couple of people saying, so tonight is the last night that if you buy the Ninja Creami ebook 2, and I'm even going to Pacific Standard Time midnight. It was supposed to end last Friday. So when you buy your copy of the Whole Food Plant-Based Ninja Creami ebook 2, then you get access to this free $35 class. And so someone's like, what recipes are you going to make in class, Kathy? And that is hilarious. And I appreciate your faith in me. But what I'm going to do in the class, so if you buy tonight, you may get, before I go to bed, the people who have bought will get another email going, hey, class is Saturday and this is how you access it. Then tomorrow by 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time, I will send you another one that says, hey, at 1 o'clock, we've got this class. If you miss all of them, if you can't make it, there will be a replay. So what I'm going to do is at that time or after the class, I'm going to take all the people who I've sent this email to, and I'm going to sign you up for a place that you can access it. So you'll see ebook 2 that you have and this class. Those of you that missed the deadline and you're not getting the class for free. Tomorrow morning when I wake up, I will add it as you can add it additionally, and I'll put it at a reduced price for you, so that I'm not going to cut you all out. And then on Monday, the price is probably going up to slightly on the book as well. So this is what I say to you. And I've been saying this for 6 weeks almost. So those of you who email me tomorrow saying, but I didn't know, I'm not going to, no, it's going to be like the bundle. We don't go back. Because seriously, I feel like I'm annoying everyone. I even have it on my regular mailing list that you can go down and say, I don't want any more Ninja Creami emails, so that no one gets so mad at me. But, will you still be able to buy the book? Yes. Will you get the class? No, not for free. And the book could be a little bit more. So if you're wanting to get the book, honestly, I would just get it now. The class is worth $35. The book is $24.99. So it's kind of, I don't know. Is that raw vegan math? I don't know. Right? There's like on TikTok, there's girl math and dog math and cat math. But just go ahead and get it if you want to. If you don't want the Ninja Creami, if you don't want to make frozen desserts, that's fine. I still love you. And I am really excited for a time that I'm going to make something on a live that is not Ninja Creami soon. Not because, but I'm going to be eating Ninja Creami stuff all summer long. I love it. I have, the reason I don't want to make anymore is, what do we got? I think we still have 29 pints. So every time I do
Save some for us. He'll eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm not kidding.
No. And well, I had it for breakfast. I made a lemon Okara pint with like half the amount of dates. I didn't put very many dates in there, and I put some lemon extract and some lemon zest, and I spun fresh raspberries in it. That's what I had for breakfast. So, and we do, and honestly, I've been eating the bejesus out of this. Like only Chef Yen, I've been putting Chef Yen, I'm just like shoveling it in my mouth because it's delicious. But yeah, so it's not that it's only going to be Ninja Creami for the rest of my existence. However, summer, everybody asks me the Ninja Creami questions anyhow. So on lives and things like that, it's going to center over that. If my Australian friends would like me to do something exciting for them in this winter for me, we can talk about that too. If you guys get a few more people together. But yeah, so long answer to a short question, but no, I have no idea what I'm going to make tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is kind of listen to you guys about what questions you have. So in class, the most important thing for me is to make sure you know how to use your machine. You feel more confident. You can ask those little minuscule questions. I will at least spend a pint in the deluxe and in the original. If somebody has the Ninja Breeze, you can talk to me about it. I have that. It's just back there. You can't buy it anymore. And the buttons are exactly the same as the original. I'll probably use the template and make a couple of recipes because I thought that would be a little more helpful than me just making a recipe from the book. If that is not the case, then maybe, probably of the two ice creams that I might make the most would be the green pea mint, because Cheryl loves that one, and I wouldn't mind having more of that. And the corn cinnamon is really good.
It was so interesting. I was very curious about your your green pea mint ice cream. I'm like, I wonder how that turns out. So I actually went to the frozen section in the supermarket to look for green peas, right? But they didn't have the local ones, the frozen local peas. I mean the ones that it's like a local brand. They had something that was imported from Australia, and it's like 3 times more the price of the. So I was just standing there like, do I not, do I not? And then Ash came up to me and went like, oh, I found this other thing because I was asking him to look for some item, and I was like, I guess that's a sign not to get it this time. So I haven't gotten the mint yet. Yeah, because
And you know
only
what?
because it was just like way more expensive.
And that's totally, totally valid. Like Cheryl loves green peas, and I actually don't like them. Like there's something like mushy green peas, okay. Green peas in like a biryani. I can do some, but like she will eat a bowl of green peas. And I don't like them. So I made this, and that's just why I can tell you it doesn't taste like green peas, because I ate it. But she was like, "This is awesome." And so there was a mint chocolate chip ice cream in the first book. Let me see. I've got it here too. And I'll see if I think I put kale in it to make it green instead of.
Oh yeah, you mentioned about using kale. I remember.
Let me see if I can find it and I can tell you. And I can send you the first book too, Chef Yen. And that way, if you want to look, it's a little more raw in that we're using, well, depends on how you think about it. I'm making a lot of oat milk.
So oats. That's something interesting as well. So when I was in culinary school, and in fact, even I think the some of the raw books that I use, people use oats. And when I learned from the teachers, they did use oats in the raw thing. And then when I came to the raw community again, and they were like, oats are not raw, or they're like, oh, for it to be raw, you need to get oat groats, and then you need to soak them, and then you need to sprout them, and then you dehydrate them, and then and then you spin it into a powder, and then it becomes oat flour, and then it's considered raw. But now I heard that they do sell sprouted oats, which Lisa and Nick use as well. So
Okay.
you could use that as well. But I am wondering whether you could use buckwheat.
You might be able to. So
Groat.
this is the kale chocolate chip one. So it's
Yeah.
pretty, it got really green. So it's like, I'm using some cashew butter or soaked cashews, kale, dates, and peppermint extract. because you're kind of using in a lot of the first book I'm using, you can make other milks, like you could use almond milk or you could use hemp milk and things like that
Mm,
too. So I mean, I just think this is
yeah.
easier. I liked using the oat milk a lot in this because again, it's the cheapest. And I always have sprouted
Mm,
rolled oats, but rolled oats are steamed then rolled, so
yeah.
they're not raw.
Yeah.
I know there's one
Yeah.
raw food guy who makes his own rolled oats. He has the machine. What?
Yeah. 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 I saw. Wait. Is it Chef James Sand?
Yes.
Yeah. He makes his own. Yeah. 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 He makes his own raw oats. I saw his video on that, and he was in the bundle as well.
Yeah, he
So
came on the show
yeah.
and was talking about it. And actually, Apple says, I do what Chef Yen says. I soak and sprout and run through my pasta press and then dehydrate for raw rolled oats. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So it can be done. It's just more involved, and I don't know how many people are willing to do that. Because I'm making so much things from scratch these days. I mean, I've always been making them from scratch because a lot of things when you make it raw, you make from scratch. So it's like, but then you find yourself in the kitchen the entire day, and that's not what you want to do.
It depends. Some days it is what I want to do, and then there'll be a week where it's not what I want to do at all. Um, and Dee
Because
was
us
saying,
us girls, like all we do is we eat, we shop for groceries, and we do a lot of washing up.
that sounds like your vacation at my house. Except we'll drive to Asheville, then we'll eat out. But even where we're going to stay in Asheville is going to have a kitchen, so we'll have options there too. So it'll be fun. Dee saying, so what Saturday Live? So if you bought ebook 2, you're getting a link to get a private Ninja Creami live class tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody's still buying the book. Like literally while we're on this live, people are buying the book. People are going to buy the book till midnight Pacific Standard Time. So you guys are not going to automatically get a link to go. In the morning, I will give you a link. And let's say late morning because I might sleep in. I've been a little, I thought this week was going to be so easy and it was not. Like every day, like this was the first day we didn't have a doctor or a vet appointment and a live. so,
Yeah.
so I'm
I was
going to be,
telling us like, oh, you had to take your dog to the doctor, you had to take this, and other you had all this. It's like doctors and lives, doctors and lives.
it's so weird. Like, yeah, and I messed up on Tuesday and forgot that we were getting our teeth done. So, like, we went straight from the dentist, or just our checkup from the dentist, straight home to a live. Like we just barely made it in time to set up. So that's why I'm giving myself some wiggle room. So I might get up at a leisurely hour and take a walk or I don't know, do something crazy. So, but before 1 o'clock, probably by 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you'll have a link. When I get off of this live, I'm probably going to go ahead and put an email out to those of you who've gotten it. But it's not too late. Even if you don't hear from me, you'll hear from me tomorrow, okay? And if you don't email Cheryl about not getting the link, because if you just bought it, you won't have it. But if you're having trouble logging in and getting to the ebook, you can email support@healthyslowcooking.com, okay? So let's see if I have any other questions.
Oh, it's nice. So so many people are still up. Oh, but they're not necessarily on EST, right? They might be on PST or
Right, yeah, exactly.
other parts of the US.
Okay, and Dee, she did. So yeah, check your email. And Holly wanted to know, can buckwheat be eaten raw?
Okay, so for buckwheat groats, what I usually do is I soak them and then I sprout them. Yeah, and then you can use them when they sprouted, like when it's still wet, or you can actually dehydrate them, and then then you can make them into bread, and you can make them into my raw vegan tarts. I use buckwheat groats as well. Do I have a buckwheat pizza? I'm not sure, but definitely for bread. Yeah. I have some bread recipes in some of my courses. I think the afternoon tea course has a bread recipe. I'm trying to think what else. Um, I have afternoon tea. I can't remember, but I do have some raw vegan bread recipes, and buckwheat groats are great to use for that. But I do sprout them because actually you can make it without sprouting, but it's just if you want the extra health benefits and also for digestibility, so it's better to sprout them because
Okay.
yeah.
Well, maybe we'll see how much time we have to play. I don't want to take up your whole vacation with us just playing in the kitchen, but I'm sure we'll do some stuff together for sure. And Dee is saying, I just want the ebook too printed under $100. So I print it at home and then I take it to get it spiral bound, and it's $5 to get it spiral bound. But if you have them print it can be $60. It doesn't make any sense to me. Their paper is not nicer than my paper. So if you have a friend that can print the book for you, that's a really good way to go. And someone was asking, is there going to be a replay if you can't make the live class? Yes. So it's actually going to be like classes from Kathy's Cooking Club. It's going to be recorded. It's going to be up on ThriveCart as its own separate class. You will be imported into there. So then at one point, not before the class, later, probably, you will go to your dashboard and you'll see both the ebook and then you'll see this class as a separate thing. So you can watch it as long as I have classes. So far, I've had classes since 2017. So I think there's a good chance it'll be up there plenty of time. Plants Only Muncher wants to know, what are my favorite t-shirt companies? Well, I love Gideon's. Gideon's is actually a bakery that doesn't do anything vegan. They do have great vegan coffees at Disney Springs, but it's spooky and they do a whole bunch of artwork. And so we have some of their prints and I get their t-shirts and things like that. Cheryl, actually, we just got two here. I'll run and get them because I think I just unwrapped the packages. So every month they do new ones. And I got the new rainbow one for Cheryl. And I may have to get one for me too. And it says, we're just one big creepy family. Isn't that cute? And then because I lost some weight, my favorite jacket is now Cheryl's. And Butterscotch was back this month. And he's the little boy in the werewolf suit going, Arr. He's my favorite. So that's a Gideon shirt. I like Tea Turtle. I think it's TEETURTALE. That's where a lot of my little Disney ones and my Mad Scientist one comes from. Dee says, not one friend has printers. You know what I would do? If you have Nextdoor, which is an app that tells you what's in your neighborhood, I would ask if any nice neighbor would be willing to print it. Or you might be able to go to the library or something. I know Staples, like when I was just going to send it to have it printed and bound, and it was going to be like $60 or $70. So it was crazy. And I was like, no, thank you. I can buy a printer for that much money, right? Vegan Knowledge says I have to get that one for my sister. And let's see what else I'm missing. And I'm sorry, my brain is going on vacation. So I think that's about it. Did you have any parting words for us tonight?
Yeah, I think I wanted to say like whether you're raw vegan or even if you don't have a Ninja Creamy, I think the book is actually worth it because yeah, part of me is just like remember I think last year you were doing the Ninja Creamy experience thing, and I was just like I don't have a Ninja Creamy. I'm not bothered. But this year, when you asked me, and because I contributed a recipe, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'd love to be part of it. And then, so when I opened your book, I was like, damn it, I should have, I should have said yes to you last year. So now I'm telling people, don't make that mistake. I mean, if you guys are into ice cream and frozen treats, yeah, and dreamy drinks, then this would be for you. I mean, if you're not into all that, then don't bother. Just watch us chat and talk about t-shirts and yeah,
Absolutely. And one thing that I do get a lot is people go, should I get the deluxe because I want to make drinks? And it's like it has drinks on the buttons, but like the Instant Pot, you can make beans in the Instant Pot without a bean button, right? So I teach you how to
yeah,
make all the drinks in the original machine or the deluxe. In the new book, there are measurements for 2 cup containers and 3 cup containers. So it doesn't matter which one you get. And the only other thing is people get confused on the deluxe. There's a full top and bottom button that you have to click before you can select anything. If you're doing all of it, full. If you're doing a drink, it must be full. You can't just do the bottom if it's full because there's a top. So the top would just spin half of it. So that would be like if you wanted to do a mix in and then save the bottom for another time. Because if you mix into all of it and you don't eat all of it and freeze it, it's just going to puree it. So those are all. Aw, thanks. Dee Dee says ebook 1 was good. Whole food plant based 2 is beyond. I
no.
honestly feel like it may be one of the best of my 13 books.
Yeah, I
So
think because you're so creative, you're like, you're using all these other things to make ice cream. I'm like, oh wow, is this? Oh wow, is that? Apart from your vanilla and your, because I'm not a vanilla chocolate strawberry thing. I like things that are more creative or things that people have never done before, which is why yeah, which is why I mean, and I had people on my instant IG live yesterday. They're all excited to see how the pineapple jalapeno recipe would turn out. Yeah, last night they were like, we want to see this, we want to see this. So later I'll go live and do the other half and show them how it turned out as well. So yeah, I think your recipe, your ebook has things like, that people like and people are familiar with. But there's also things that push the boundaries a bit and just are creative, and that's what I like seeing. Yeah.
Well, and you have to have a balance of both in a cookbook. I don't
Mm.
have that many chocolate flavors, but I have 3 different plain chocolate ice creams basically. Then I have a chocolate hazelnut, and with those you
Yeah.
can make any kind of chocolate ice cream you want with a mix-in or an extract or stuff. But just, and I think I have 1 vanilla, 1 strawberry, and then the rest
Mhm.
are a little more interesting. Yeah. Oh, D says
Yeah.
it's beyond horchata with brown rice. Yeah, the margarita ice. Yeah. And there's lots, hopefully there's something for everyone. And if there's not,
Mm.
there's a template for a smoothie bowl, a template for sorbets, and a template for ice cream so that you can use whatever is growing in your yard or is seasonal where you are. So like if it's winter, for us, we get lots of canned pumpkin. So making pumpkin pie ice cream would be really easy. Or, pears and apples are a little more plentiful at that time of the year for us. And now I'm all in on strawberries and blackberries and blueberries and all of that stuff because it's when they're in season, they're so much cheaper and they taste better. Well,
Yep.
thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. And I
You're most
cannot,
welcome. It was fun.
yeah, and I really appreciate you contributing to the book. And you've been such a huge support through all of this. And I'm like ready for a vacation. We're not having a vacation till July, but I might just disappear for a day or two.
You
And then,
should. Yeah, you deserve it. Please get some rest because I saw your email. You're going like, oh, the next thing I'm going to do is work on my fall book or your posters. I was like, Kathy, please get some rest. You just finished this one. You thinking about your next ebook. No, no, rest. You need
I
to take
am
care of
gonna
yourself.
rest. I promise. Well, I had started that book a while ago, so I'm gonna get while the testers are working. That's one of the things I'm gonna do tomorrow too. So if you guys have been testing, I'm gonna say, hey, do you want to keep testing for the new book? And I'm just gonna. The goal is that I would do it slower over a longer period of time. I tend to
Mm.
do it all in a month.
Yeah, but that's crazy because you'll be working like 14-hour week, 14-hour days.
Well, that's what I've been doing for the past 6 weeks. That's why I'm so tired and giddy now, because I was like, oh, next week I won't be working at all, so I'll do lives every day. And it was like, what am I thinking? Am I not thinking about all the emails I need to send out? And um, but yeah, so I'm hoping I can do it a little bit easier. But what happens for me is I get excited, and when I get
Mm,
excited, it's really easy for me to work 12 and 14-hour days. But if I'm
yeah.
just kind of sort of in it, sometimes I don't get as much done. So, but I'm gonna try and be a grown up and see how much I can get done. And I bought some new backgrounds because I'm gonna do this one kind of kitchen witchy. And then I ordered
Ah.
some more backgrounds because they came out with their Halloween collection today. So I spent a lot of money on backgrounds. Cost a lot of money compared to other things that I buy. But I'm hoping that you guys will be in it with me, and then I can use the same format and the new book layout for this next book on all the savory books coming up. Apple says classic neurodiversity. Yes, that is me. So everyone always goes, you can't do a book in that amount of time. And I'm like, I've done it 13 times. I think I can. Does it burn me out? Yes. And I'm not as burnt out as I usually am at all. And tomorrow's class is going to be great because I'll get really excited because I get to help everybody. But then Sunday, I'm doing nothing. There's not going to be an email for me. So don't worry, I haven't died. And maybe Chef Yen will coach me into doing things the slow and low, responsible way.
I'm
Cheryl's
only
like,
saying I'm only saying that because I think that's what I did on one of my books because I promised people that it'll be out before Christmas so they can get it as presents. And then yeah, so I was like sitting in my chair like typing out stuff and all that for hours and hours, and then I think like yeah, I think I hurt my back, I hurt my hands, I hurt my wrist and all that. So I was like, we don't want that to happen to you.
I've done it before too, like when I've taught too many classes and things. And that's why I like the Breville peel and chop. So I am trying to do things to kind of like prep for my body being a little more delicate.
Hmm.
But like doing the book, it's like half the time you're standing and doing stuff, and half the time you're sitting and writing. But like even in the middle of the book, I can't tell you, like I know what the plan is and I feel it when I get up which part I have to go to, but it's not linear. It's
Mm, yeah,
but it's
yeah,
it's really nice to be back in a flow and get excited. I
yeah.
love getting excited about things.
I was gonna say, I think because you're just in the flow, that's why you don't feel how much time has passed by, and it's just like, yeah, it's kind of like you're almost on a high, right?
It is. And I think it does have to do with my neurospicy brain that I have that because it likes to be entertained, but I tell you what it really likes. My favorite thing is finishing a project. Like when I finish, it's awesome. Being in the middle of it isn't always as awesome. But I like doing this self-published book better than working with a publisher because and one of the
Mm,
reasons is that I send it out to dozens of people to kind of do some proofreading and stuff like that. But people find I've
mhm,
done this even when I was working with a publisher and paid editors. Is the people who look at it find different things, and since it's in
mm,
Thrive Card, and I will be doing this next week. I know some of you have found some little errors or corrections that need to be made. I think I almost want to say all of them don't have to do with the recipe. There might be one that the instructions were a little weird. And then I'm going to correct them, and then you could have that other copy. The other thing is it being in ThriveCart means that you get the full color version that you can print out, or D, you can print out just the black and white, no photo version. If that makes it easier and less expensive for you, it's not as nice. Like, I know I want the photos, but someone asked me to do it differently, and I'm like, I can totally do that. That can't happen with a publisher, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Well, anyhow, I'm going to let you go start your day, and thank you for hanging out with me. And you guys, you will see Chef Yin in my kitchen later this year, and that's going to be super exciting. And maybe even
Yeah.
before. Do you have any projects coming up?
Um, Not really, because I'm still waiting for my hand to heal, so I'm not taking it on any projects. Yeah, yeah, for the moment. But yeah, we'll definitely see you kitchen. But I think, yeah, if we want to go live again, uh, we'll see. We'll talk and see. Yeah, we could possibly go live again, like, if you have a summer thing or
Yeah,
something.
see
I'll
how
be
you
happy
feel,
to.
or if you have something special you want to do, just let me know because you're always welcome.
Mm. Aw, thank you. Thank you
Okay,
so
you
much.
guys, everybody on the East Coast, get tucked in and go to bed. The rest of you enjoy the rest of your night. And those of you over on the Malaysia side of the world, have a wonderful day. And I will see a lot of you at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check your email about 11 o'clock tomorrow. Maybe even give it till 11:15. Okay? All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
All right, bye everyone.